There was another teaser for Liv Morgan possibly joining Bray Wyatt, so we'll see what that's all about. We'll also check in on Rey Mysterio's story, the bloodline, and more. Let's start things off with Liv Morgan and Bray Wyatt. If you were around in 2019, then you're already aware that Liv Morgan is no stranger to being involved with Bray Wyatt fan theories. When Liv was removed from TV in 2019 and started teasing a dark era for her character, everyone was talking about the idea of Bray Wyatt taking over Liv Morgan and having her join the Firefly Funhouse. This theory was huge. WWE even acknowledged it several times by promoting WWE 2K that year by uploading an entrance video of Liv Morgan walking out with Bray Wyatt's entrance animation. So even WWE themselves acknowledged the popular theory and made several nods to it. Liv Morgan joining Bray Wyatt never happened, but you could argue that WWE still took that fan theory of a woman joining the Firefly Funhouse and made it happen. They just replaced Liv with Alexa Bliss. The Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt story was exactly what fans thought we would see with Liv Morgan. So maybe WWE did get that idea from the popular fan theory. But fast forward several years later, and the idea of Liv Morgan joining Bray Wyatt is an actual big possibility again. It all started with Extreme Rules. Liv seemed quickly unaffected by the fact that she just lost her SmackDown Women's title. She smiled during the submission, smiled after the match, and was in a trance backstage, as if something more important was going on with her right now. Then she alluded to the idea on Twitter that she didn't remember most of what happened at Extreme Rules. Another hint that something must be going on. Then on SmackDown, Sonya Deville is trash-talking Liv Morgan backstage, and Liv appears out of nowhere to fully take out Sonya. But the interesting part here, and something that's been really important, especially since Triple H took over, is to pay attention to the little details in the background. Bray Wyatt's new logo is clearly on one of the containers behind Liv Morgan, and not only that, but Abby the Witch, who we saw at Extreme Rules, is standing there with a hood over her head. Now, when something like that is put in the background, it just can't be a coincidence. Is Abby the Witch keeping her eye on Liv Morgan? Speaking of eyes, what appears to be a woman's eye was also seen during the quick transition teases from Bray Wyatt. Fans questioned if it was Liv's eye, if it was Alexa's eye, or any other woman that would make sense to be connected with Bray. There's also a good theory out there that makes Abby and Liv's moment make a bit more sense. Fans think that the real-life version of the Firefly Funhouse puppets are basically looking for WWE superstars that they can morph into so that they can get even stronger. The puppets are in a weak state right now, but they're sort of like a virus. They're looking for a host. They're looking for a superstar that they can enter and just completely take over. So maybe Abby has her eyes on Liv Morgan, thinking that Liv is the perfect host for her. She'll take over Liv's body, and it'll be this scary combination of this insanity that Liv was already feeling, mixed with the thoughts and feelings of Abby the Witch. Then the same process will apply to the rest of the puppets. They'll all look for the right host to invade and morph themselves into. So what we saw at Extreme Rules was basically the first level, so to speak, of the puppets. But as they get closer to the reveal of the Wyatt 6, the puppets will slowly turn into other WWE superstars, thanks to those superstars being possessed by the spirits of those puppets. So that theory does make the Abby and Liv segment seem reasonable. Maybe Abby the Witch puppet will turn out to be Liv Morgan. Or they could go a completely different route. Maybe it's someone like Alexa Bliss under that hood. Alexa had history with Liv Morgan earlier this year. Maybe Alexa liked what she saw and is just trying to recruit Liv. Maybe it's something like that, but what seems to be clear is that Liv is being spied on or involved in some fashion right now. It'll be great to see what comes next from that in the coming weeks. There was also a great change involved recently for Rey Mysterio. No one has had it harder than Rey Mysterio over the last few months. Rey went from being involved at the highest point of his career, having the most fun, tagging with his son, Dominik Mysterio, all the way down to the lowest point of his career, having to get betrayed and beat up by his own son, Dominik Mysterio. The past few weeks have been full of Rey Mysterio trying to care for Dominik, but Dominik still attacking him at every chance he gets. And the story wasn't really moving along because obviously Rey refused to put his hands on Dominik in any way. But the story finally moved along this week. Rey Mysterio came in person to SmackDown to tell Triple H that he just can't deal with this situation on Raw anymore and how he's never gonna put his hands on Dominik, so he was quitting WWE. Triple H and Rey then spoke things out and were able to work out a deal to get Rey Mysterio traded over to SmackDown. So Rey no longer has to deal with Dominik's situation and could be at peace over on SmackDown. And if it was a trade, that means maybe Raw will get another superstar moved over from SmackDown as well. But that really wasn't made clear, so we'll have to see about that. And this also builds anticipation for Rey and Dominik eventually crossing paths again. Right now within the storyline, Rey Mysterio has made it clear that he'll never truly hurt Dominik in any way. But in multiple interviews, Rey expressed his interest in facing off against Dominik, especially if the story was there and it made sense. So there still is a chance that Rey and Dominik will cross paths again in the future, and maybe we'll see that mask versus retirement sort of matchup there for Rey versus Dominik. Let's check back on things with the Bloodline. Solo, Sami, and Jey are backstage, talking about what happened at Raw. Roman told Jey to make sure that Sami wins, but Jey ended up doing nothing, and he let Sami lose the match. So Sami and Jey are going back and forth. Sami thinks that Jey chose to do nothing, while Jey is protecting himself, saying that he thought Sami had it under control. Roman Reigns calls through the phone and demands to talk to Jey. Jey tries to explain himself, but Roman reminds him of who's the tribal chief, and Jey acknowledges that it's him and agrees to do what Roman told him. Jey gives the phone back to Sami, and Roman and Sami are laughing on the phone. Jey asks Sami what Roman said, but Sami tells him that it's an inside joke and he wouldn't get it. Which was once again showing the idea that Sami is currently more in the loop with Roman than Jey is, which could lead to several different things in the future. But Jey does as he's told this time around and helps Sami Zayn pick up the win on SmackDown. Only issue is that Jey received no credit for his assist in Sami's win. Sami's under the impression that he got the win all on his own, so Jey gets upset. Then Jey asks Solo if he saw how he helped Sami, but Solo says no, that he was only watching Sami Zayn and can learn a lot from him, which of course only makes Jey more furious. Even when he does the right thing that he's asked of him, he's still getting disrespected and receiving no credit. So it was great writing for Jey to help Sami and listen to orders, but still be upset because Sami and Solo didn't give him any credit for something he clearly did. So things are only going to get more intense as time goes on within this story. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.